go. It's late in the evening, and I'm feeling like I just need to relax a little bit. So I figured I would do one of the more ASMR style videos. Well, painting this old Santa Cruz longboard. Hello, Menace. Say hello. So, the reason it's in here, it's such a good girl. Come here. Oh. The reason it's in here is I had an unfortunate dislocating of my leg earlier. Or not really dislocating, I don't know. It was, it's funny. I believe I touched in how mundane the injuries are in the chronic injury part 1 and 2 thing. And yeah, I posted that today, and I was leaning down to pick up a bottle of water, and my knee gave out. Luckily, this was in the room, and I was able to use it as a crutch to get over to that bells of steel cable tower I have and get the traction going. And it worked again. But this time I made a point to film the process, so I'll be posting that. It's already up on my Instagram one. It was actually easier to post it there, because if I try to post something from my phone while something from my computer is posting, the thing on my computer ends up failing. I learned that yesterday. So this paint, man, I cannot get over how well it just goes on. Coverage is just wonderful. Hi, Menace. How are you doing? She's not liking that there's not enough gap. Huh. Okay. Well, I do feel like chatting a little bit. I find myself having some interesting suggestions in my algorithm. And I'm grateful for them. It's like, at times I can gripe on how it feels like it's spying on you. Sometimes that weirdness will put you in contact with the content that you're needed to see. I think I can say and honestly say I'm not the only person who gets you need to see this. You were meant to see this today. This message is supposed to find you today. And I mean, there's some of them, I have to admit, I am really enjoying. And then there's some that the synchronicities around it are a little obnoxious. I love it, don't get me wrong. But it's like an unavoidable thing where it's like, okay, I have to pay attention to this. Because the pattern that's emerging, if I pay attention to this, is extremely beneficial to my overall well-being. And lately, it's been 3 channels specifically that popped up that tap into my more spiritual sense, or more, I guess, well, one's more in the spiritual, one's more in the finally somebody who's kind of on the same page I would love to have a conversation with, and the other one is like, what the hell is going on there? Get out of my head, girl. Or tell me what, I want to see what you're seeing. Because some of the things that's coming out in that video, just frightening. And the synchronicities around that one are hilarious. Like today. So I'll start with this one. The one that's just, actually no, I'll backpedal. The one that's on the more spiritual end. It's on Sacred Knowledge Tarot. She has been so spot on. Like to the point where I actually had my son watch his, and there was a mention of possible influences, negative influences like addictive behaviors, etc., which he's very much addicted to his screen times. So I heard that because like I didn't stay in there to watch it. I was just listening in from the other room, working on the kitchen. And it was funny. I heard that and I went in there, I paused it and I was like, and made sure that, let him know. And regards to his situation, it's the screens. And he's like, no, it's not. Meh. I'm like, all right. So I hit play, walked in the other room, and then she flat out mentioned screens. It was nice. It was a nice little moment where it's just like, love those little moments. The little moments. And then as far as the finding somebody who's just kind of like, feels like they're more on the same page, is this Carpo guy. Carpo 749 or 746. I don't know. Found him actually when I was growing tobacco. Like apparently, like how a lot of people find him. Specifically, Nicotina rustica. Very interesting plant. Exceptionally hardy plant. I love watching how it just does not die. It's just like, no. And with experiments, which I won't get into due to influential whatever. I mean, if you want to learn about it, hit up Carpo. He is definitely a sage here on YouTube. But the one that's like, girl. It's this Conversations with Jay channel. I've only had 3 of them pop up. I finally just subscribed after the 3rd one today. And it's like, all right. When hers pop up, they pop up in such a way. Like I'm even moving the camera for this one. That it drives a nail home. Like when I was going to launch this, it was like this huge like screaming affirmation, which was really nice. And then when I went to launch the very first video, as I was typing the description, I launched YouTube. It was the very first recommended. And it's like, I have not sought this channel out. I don't seek out channels where people are just talking unless they pop up randomly, like Carpo. And it popped up because I was researching a topic. I don't research the spirituality topics. I let them come to me. And usually when I'm doing the spirituality ones, it's more of like, I mean, honestly, I'm done with, like, I feel like I've digested so much. I'm like at that point where I've percolated enough. Anywho. And well, like I was saying, as I was writing the description for the very first video, this whole, like the very first lines, it's time to dance in the flames. And it resonated so hard that I was like, no, I'll make sure to watch that later, but I want to finish what I'm doing. And I ended up, that's why I put that one line in the end of the description. It's time to dance in the flames and relish in the change. Because it's just, for some reason, it's so resonant. Flip. Ooh. Oh, I'm all painty now. Oh. And it's funny, tonight, the 3rd one popped up. And like, I'm somebody, I like to label it the universe. So much so, it's like I actually have, and I like believe in the universe definitely does give you signs. I don't want to go too in depth into why I believe that, but I believe it enough to where I have it tattooed on the sole of my foot. And it's one of those things, the synchronicities, like the triple numbers and stuff that you see everywhere. So when the third number popped up, I saw it, and it was another one. The title was like, "This was meant to find you," something to that effect. Hold on, I wrote it down. Because I was also journaling at the time that it popped up. Doop 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 doop. Where are you? Oh, the "Who Are You? This Had to Find You" video. And I'm like, all right. And I kind of like said in my head mockingly, because, I don't know why spirituality has such a negative connotation in society, and that thing that you have to shake off in order to really enjoy it. But, it is what it is. Anywho, I kind of had that mockingly approach to it, and I looked up and my clock said 5:55, and I was like, all right. So I grabbed my journal back up and sat down. And it was a very pivotal one, because I'm definitely somebody who has experienced some significant change that happens abruptly, and it is one of those things I've actually been preaching to people. It's like, you have to always enjoy the process. Like, that's what changed a few years back. I mean, going through the chronic injury ones is like, it might suck at the time, and it might feel like you are going to have to completely change your entire world. Like, I mean, you might lose your job. You might have to, do things that you've never thought you'd be doing, sharing things you never thought you'd be sharing. But at the end of the day, as long as you can sit there and look at the silver linings, as I like to say. Usually it's all for the better. Because, it's kind of, I've talked at length with a friend about this, how, like, annoying it is to hear the, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But it is true to a point. It really is. The downside is nobody prepares you for the fact that nobody understands what you're actually going through when you're going through it. And it's hard to articulate when you're stuck. And for some reason, there's something preventing you from being able to communicate why you're feeling what you're feeling. And that's through any significant change in one's life, whether it's like through an ailment of some sort, whether it be physical, whether it be mental. I've definitely had my fair share of all of them. There's always a way out of it. For some reason, the human body is so ridiculously durable. Like, honestly, Keith Richards, his book, like, there was I can't remember where at in the book, but there was a point where he just basically says, like, no, this body's going to do what I tell it to do until it doesn't do it, and then I'm going to just still keep telling it what it's supposed to do. But, in that way, like my interpretation is, you know, my brain is running this ship. My heart is telling me kind of where the directions to go. My body is the mechanical vessel harnessing those two. And I mean, he can do the soul thing, but I don't want to get too much into that part. But I guess this is one of those videos where I'm just saying thank you to the algorithm for providing me with some much needed inspiration. And yeah, and an outlet, because I've been struggling for years and years with all sorts of creativity, and until recently I've never been able to push it out. Whenever I've tried to push my art out there before, it instantly kills the creativity part. And it's just like, now I've lost that outlet. Just because it's like, at the end of the day, it is a monetary thing. This shit ain't cheap. I mean, I work in education. And I live in California. And in this economy, it's not kind. But, you know, it happens. Get through it. I mean, if I run out of paint, I'll just start carving this shit up. Turn it into something else. That was one thing that I learned with that thing with my son and him trying to hurt my feelings by tearing up my canvases. Doesn't matter how negative and how angry or how destroyed something might be, it doesn't mean you can't make something beautiful out of it. I have it. Well, actually, I don't have it anymore. I gave it to him. I figured that, but that painting ended up being one of the most happiest things I've made in a while. It's like every time I think about it, I just have that song. 'Cause I'm happy. Okay, I'm getting away from that. Anywho. I don't want to waste any more blue paint on this, but dude, I still have at least half a bottle of this Culture Hustle. Like, Stuart Simple, you're the man. Like, yeah. And also, I found this hiding in a box. It's about half full. I used it on something I haven't actually published. I'm not going to be publishing. Actually, I'll show you the board. I use it on this board. That's in the background. And it's funny because it's like I was painting on this earlier, and I don't normally do things with numbers, and it was weird because it was also being written backwards. I know. I thought it was cool, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. This needs pink. I need to get some pink. Although the red would probably look really good. The red would look amazing on this. You know what? I'm putting the red on it. Now I'm done. Y'all have a good night.